So today we're going to look at finding the percent of a number. Another word, percent, means part. So I want to find, part of a number, and it means we're looking to find a piece of it, or just figure out, a part of it, not the whole thing, a percent of a number. So an example here, maybe I wanted to figure out 15% of 40. Alright, so the word of tells me to multiply. So in order to figure this out, 15% of 40 means I need to find part of 40. Well, in order to do this, I'm going to have to change this percentage into a decimal. 15%, this means out of 100. So 15 out of 100 would be 15 hundredths, or you could write it as 15 over 100, depending on if you'd like to work with fractions or with decimals, times 40. So then I could set that up. It's going to go 0, 0, placeholder, 20, 4, 5, 6. So we have 1, 2 decimal places. So 15, there's 1, 2 decimal places. 15% of 40 equals 6.00, or you could say 6. 15% of 40 is 6. A little bit deeper understanding in this would be saying, like, if I wanted to get 30% of 70, okay? I could just do the multiplication and that would get me there, but one thing that we want to know is what 10% of something is. 10% of 70, I could multiply it out, but it's going to be 7. Okay, this is a good thing to use for estimation to help me figure it out. And if I'm looking at it and I wanted to make it into a model, alright, to understand the meaning of it, if I had this whole thing was to equal 70, and I wanted to figure out 30%, I could break it into tens because it takes 10 tens. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%. So that means each box is going to be 10%. So each box is worth 7. That is 30%, which is 7 plus 7 plus 7. It's 21. Right? If every box is 7, the whole thing's going to be 70, but 30% is 21. So that's a way you could use a model to solve the problem. If I wanted to really look at it, I could say, okay, I don't like the model, so maybe you want to do the multiplication. That's 30 hundredths times 70, going to get the same exact thing. Placeholder 0, 21, 2 decimal places, so 1, 2 decimal places. Either way, 30% of 70 is 21. Let's do a couple more. Let's say I had 40% of 60. Alright, and then as we get more comfortable, we want to start asking ourselves questions like, what do I know about this? Well, I know 50% is equal to 30. 50% of 60, half of 60 is 30. I know 10% is going to be 6. 10% of 60 is 6. So these are things I know. So I could use this to figure out the answer, or if I'm estimating, I would say, well, I know my answer has to be less than 30 because 40% is less than 50%, and 50% would be 30. So I know my answer has to be smaller than 30. Again, making sure my answer makes sense. Always important to do that. If I wanted to do a model, I would say the whole thing is equal to 60. That's 100% of it. is equal to 60. Break it into 10 parts. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I need 40%, so that's 2, 3, 4, right there. So each box is 10%, which is worth 6. 6 times 10 makes 60. That is 40%, which is equal to 24. It's 10% less, so it's 6 less than 30. 10% less than 50, so it'd be 6 less there. If I wanted to multiply 40%, again, change that. Change to the decimal or a fraction, and then I'm going to multiply. So change this to a decimal or a fraction. I like the decimal way. It's going to be all zeros. Placeholder, 6 times 0 is 0. 24, adding it up. 2 decimal places. There we go with that. Maybe I'd have something that's a little bit more difficult. Maybe let's try 58% of, I don't know, 75. Okay, again, I want to be asking myself these questions. I can do this in my head. 10% is 7.5. 10% of 75 is 7.5. 50%, half of 75 is 37.5. I got that by dividing it by 2. 50% is cutting it in half. That means dividing it by 2. So I know my answer's got to be a little bit more than 37.5 because I have 58%. This one, 58%, is not such a nice number to make a model. You could do it, but it would be a little bit more complicated. So let's just do the multiplication way. 58 hundredths times 75. Part of 75. I need to find part of 75. So when I multiply that out, 40, 56 plus that is 60, placeholder 25, 35, 36, 37. That's 13, 43 and a half. If I look, I know my answer's got to be a little bit more than 37.5, which it is a little bit more than that. 60%, 10% plus 50% would give me 14, 15, 45. 60% would be 45, so that's a little bit less than that because it's 58%. So I know my answer makes sense. It checks out. Let's try a couple real world ones and then we'll be done. So maybe I would have a question that would say like, Mr. Seville has, I don't know, 35 chocolate chip cookies. No, I want to say he has 35 cookies. 30, no, let's go 60% are chocolate chip. How many cookies are not? So we know 60% of 35 is a chocolate chip. So this is gonna, I need to find part of 35, a little over half of 35. So if I'm looking at this, it's gonna be 35 times 60 hundredths, which again, that's gonna be zeros. Placeholder, 30, 18, 21. So I'm going to get 21 are chocolate chip. The question says, how many cookies are not? So if I have 35 cookies and 21 are chocolate chip, I'm going to subtract those and say 14 are not. Last kind of problem would be a discount problem, which that's like a deal, that's a sale. So maybe you go to the store and something is $70. However, you have a coupon to get, I don't know, 35% off. Something like 35%. I could do the model, so I'll show you that way as well. Because it's a nice number, but I'll show you the other way as well with the multiplication. So first off, my whole shirt costs $70. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Each piece is going to be worth 7. $35% means this one will be cut in half. 3.5. 3.5. So 35%. 7, 14, 21 plus 3.5. It's $24.50. So I get $24.50 off, meaning I'm going to have to take $70 and subtract that's wrong. This is going to be 10. $45.50 is the sale price. That's my discount. 35% off. That's what I save. If I just did it mathematically, say 70 times 35%. Again, that's the savings. Then you subtract it. Last little tip. If I only wanted the sale price and I didn't care about the savings, I could say 100% minus 35% off. It means I pay for 65%. And I could set it up. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Jumps me right to the sale price.